back. This is Fantastic Pings and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
And I'm not Karina.
But we're here together.
As usual.
For more fun times and
shenanigans.
Today we are joined by a very special guest, and I'm super, super thrilled for this episode because I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. Everybody welcome Ruth.
Friend of podcaster.
Friend of podcasts from the very beginning.
Yeah.
From the long, long ago times. All right. If this is your very first time joining us, welcome to the show. This is our sibling duo podcast with guests about life with chronic and invisible illnesses and conditions, including mental and emotional.
I'm mental and she's emotional.
Indeed. Where can they find us?
You can find us everywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Audible, Google, until Google stops existing. Podbean, and a couple other little sites. And then you can join the action on our Discord.
Absolutely. And that is where we get a lot of our episode input. Really wonderful people, really wonderful support. We sing their praises every single week, and there's just not enough nice things to say about our Discord. So hop in there. You can also help us help us plan and join in on episodes as we're doing today. So, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Sweet. That means that it is time for the weekly recap.
Check in.
Haha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going first?
I don't know.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I haven't slept in 3 days. That's all I can remember about this week. What else happened?
Believe in it.
A lot of stuff happened.
Oh, you messed up your ankle.
Oh, twice. I rolled it after I smacked it again. So my ankle's been messed up for a while, and it's been swollen like this whole time. Hasn't gone down. And then I smacked it in the same spot on that metal tower in my office.
Ow.
Yeah, like hard. And then I rolled it like a day after that. So I've been fighting that, and it's been gnarly and big and painful.
Not a good time.
No. And then I've been hit with just mania, like slapped across the face with it, where it's to the point where I'm not even feeling tired or exhausted. There's nothing. It's just energy.
There is no sleep to be found at all.
No, and I tried.
Ever.
I've been trying hard to get sleep.
Yeah.
Especially last night. I was like, I need to sleep. Got the podcast. This is going to be a good one.
Did not sleep.
No.
Doesn't believe in it. Yeah.
And I did a lot of editing. We got a lot of really cool shorts coming up next week.
They're really good. I'm excited.
Yeah. If you liked the episode, a lot of Patreon content is going to make it into shorts. So look forward to that.
Yes.
I'm really happy with the way they turned out.
Yes.
And then really what else? We hung out. We did the lives, which was great.
Yeah.
And that was it for me, as far as I can remember, because I haven't slept in days.
Right.
So.
No, and this week has felt so long.
Yeah.
My week was crazy. It just is nonstop crazies forever and ever and ever. I had my pain management appointment on Monday.
Yeah.
And that went well. Like, it went better than I was expecting, I guess. Not because these people are not nice people, but because my trauma runs so deep with the medical system where I'm like, they're going to say I'm faking and be like, guess what? You get no medication now.
See last week's episode.
Yeah. So that was a fun time.
Yeah.
But it went well, and we're trying out the Butrans patch, as can be seen here with my shiny skin that's not skin.
Tegaderm.
And it's already peeling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, it's supposed to last a week.
It will. Just try not to pick at it, which is impossible.
It's really hard. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to snip off the
bits
ends
that peel.
Yeah. But it took us 5 days to get that prescription filled.
Yeah, you didn't get it until right before the live last night.
Yes. Like right before. It was insane. And even that, I was like, I could be going to the pharmacy for no reason. We don't know, because there was a prior auth problem, and then it was a systems problem, and then they had to cancel the entire order and then reorder it, and then they got the prior auth, and then so it's just been a really fun time.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. So fun. That on top of other things that I can't necessarily talk about in depth, but
basically I ruined her week. Let's think back. Did I do anything to make your week better?
Yes.
Lies. I in fact made them worse. I reminded her of all the bad things she did with my TikToks that you're gonna see, and I didn't talk to her. Except to make fun of you this morning.
It's okay though, because I was so busy.
Oh, I know. It
was so busy.
It was
oh my god. So yeah, it was a week. Trying to think if anything else happened. Oh yeah. So talking to the docs, they want me to go back to neurology.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm not happy about.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh.
No, go ahead. I got
Okay.
mine still.
Yeah, not happy about that one. But yeah, so we're gonna do. They gave me 4 patches, each one lasting a week, and then we're gonna check back in December and see if the dosage is working, if it's working at all, like if it's helping. Because the idea is just to bring your like pain baseline up or down, however you think about it.
Make it more even, like overall, average it out.
Yeah, so that I don't have so much background pain.
Exactly.
Because what I've noticed, and this was why this whole thing ensued, was that if I medicated at like in the middle of the day, I was a person after I got home from work, which I haven't been for years. Like it's been a long time.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, my quality of life is not good. It's not great. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird. But yeah, so it's supposed to hopefully mute some of that background pain.
I think it will. Like I said, I've said this whole time, I've been really optimistic about it for you.
Yeah.
Because, like, if it wasn't for the fact that I absorbed them super quick or I have a reaction to something in them, I liked them. There was nothing innately bad about it.
Right. Yeah, I'm like cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was just a crazy week.
Yeah.
How about you, Ruth?
This week, I had to do a transit test for my GI tract, and that was not one of the more fun things I've done just because they want you to be off of a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But the good news is I learned that my gut, in fact, can occasionally work, even unassisted. So that was interesting information, and I still haven't figured out how I'm going to adjust things in the future.
Yeah.
And then my other news for the week is I got a fun toy, and I have a new fancy Fitbit, and I can get a lot more data out of it, and I'm going to be tracking my oxygen level and see whether or not I've got some actionable data. It was the doctor's idea that I do this, and they finally marked them down a little bit, so I think maybe they're getting ready to come out with a new model.
Probably.
But and as a result, I had to go to Fitbit Premium. So there's all these new things that I can look at that weren't there before. So it'll be very interesting and a process to go through it all and just to see what else I can learn or what new things I can watch and trend and get some feedback on any changes I make and how I'm doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you find that it's like the heart rate is pretty accurate?
I think it's pretty accurate. I've cross-checked it a number of times. The part that really threw me yesterday is, so help me, on my former Fitbit, it said that it had defined my heart rate zones based on my age and that I'm female.
Yeah.
And so then when I went to the new one, it also says it's adjusted my expected heart rate ranges based on the age and being female. And it's using completely different ranges. And so I was used to just glancing at it and checking out, like, what color am I in?
Oh, okay.
Am I in the green zone? I'm in the yellow zone, red zone. And now all my colors are in different places. And so now I have to actually look at the numbers. They vary the Y scale depending on what your peak was that day. So you can't go by the Y scale, which drives me insane. So I have to just get used to it.
Yeah.
It's the same data. It's just being color coded differently.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's cool though. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, now we get to get into the fun parts.
Exactly. So as you've heard, Ruth is kind of our like resident data expert.
Absolutely.
You've spent a lot of time like perfecting how you're collecting data and have some really, really cool and interesting methods that are just, they're so empirical. I love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So beyond like a pain journal, which a lot of us have a really hard time with, right? Like we have these like symptom journals, but how often are we actually filling it out? How often are we like actually tracking? And then there's at the end no way to like really track it without having to go through every page to figure out like what the trend is. So Ruth has perfected these methods, and we're going to hear a bit about that today. So I'm really excited.
Not sure it's perfected. It's in constant flux because I keep thinking, oh, I wish I had this piece of information.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep tweaking it.
Yeah.
Well, we got to review it last night.
Yeah.
Like you hadn't seen it until then.
No, it was really, really cool to get to see. So you guys are going to get to see it today, which is exciting. But can you tell us a little bit about how and when actually you started being so empirical about the data that you were tracking? And then how, I have many more questions, but we'll start there.
Well, at the beginning, you go to the doctor and they give you those stupid intake forms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, this is long before computerization. And they give you like a line this long and you're supposed to list the drugs you're on. Another one that says, what are your allergies? And another one for your history. And it stopped fitting. Mm-hmm. And it stopped being something that I could easily recall and just dash out off the top of my head.
Right.
Because my problem started fairly young. I was a teenager and just kept building. And by the time I was in my early 20s, I had a number of things wrong, some of them serious. And it was too much work and it didn't fit. And you're writing in the margins and it's just stupid to fill out those.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They don't give you any room. It's ridiculous. They're like, do you take Tylenol? That's what you can write there. Tylenol.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, and it takes time. Every time they ask you to do that, and sometimes they'll ask you once a year at some offices. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to sit there and recopy things manually.
Exactly.
I'm lazy. Not my thing. And years ago, my company sent me to one of those, organize your life, use a planner kind of seminars.
Yeah.
And so I'm old school and I still carry an old-fashioned hard copy planner because my life demands that at least a good chunk of it still be hard copy because I'm working and I got to play by the rules.
Right.
And so what I started doing was, hey, I'll just write down some key things and put them in my planner. And then when somebody says, list off your allergies, I write in the space, see list.
Yeah.
And then when I hand the paper in, I take the page out of my planner and I hand it to them and I say, this is the list. Sometimes they photocopy it. Sometimes they scan it and then they give it back to me.
Yeah.
And I make sure that I include the brand name and the generic name of all my medications because some people's systems have one in them and some people's systems have the other.
Yeah.
Or they're familiar with a drug only by one of the two names.
Yep.
And so I started always keeping both of those. And then they wanted the dosing. And then they wanted to know how often you're taking it.
Yep.
So I added that in.
And how long you've been taking it. Yeah.
I actually don't track that in this particular document. I have the information. It's just not in here because I've gone on and off of the same medication so many times for one reason or another.
Yeah.
God.
And there's certain medications that I have kept track of that because I get asked them it so often. Mm-hmm. But other medications, I just don't bother. If somebody really wants to know, I can go back through my medical journals and figure that out. And I keep a medical journal of the day-to-day changes. This week I skipped a bunch of medication because of this test.
Yeah.
So on those days I wrote, I skipped this and this, I skipped this and this. And every year at the beginning of the year, I copy the page that has my current medications on it and I stick it in the calendar so that I know that.
Yeah.
And just over time, I added, here's the list of all my doctors. Here's the list of all my diagnoses. And it just built from there. Every time I got tired of answering whatever question for the whatever time, I like, okay, I'm throwing it in there.
Yeah, add it to the doc.
Yeah.
Right. And then at some point, it became an issue of what happens if family members need to be able to describe my health condition and my constraints, which things I've had bad reactions to, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What happens if I'm not able to answer those questions myself and my family members need to be able to do so?
Right.
And in this case, we've already kind of planned which kid gets that responsibility for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's not like they live locally. I don't have an opportunity to discuss all this in detail. So it needs to be communicated in written form so that it's available when it's needed. And so once that became a thing, and my husband tries to sift through everything, but our daughter has the medical background to make a little bit more, derive more meaning from what I'm writing.
Yeah.
And so I really wrote a lot of it for both of them so that they've got a chance of figuring out things. And then what I found once I started doing it is my memory's not fantastic.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially if I tried a drug for a week, had a mild side effect that wasn't dramatic, but I really don't want to be on it again.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I was like, oh, this actually is handy when for that, because the doctor says, hey, I'd like to put you on blah, blah, blah. And now I can go back and see, have I been on that before?
Yeah.
What was my reaction? Was it okay? Was it just irritating? In which case, maybe I will go ahead and agree to take it again,
Right.
especially if it's a short-term use.
Yeah.
One time a doctor tried putting me on a certain drug, and it bound up my gut so bad my intestines prolapsed.
Oh, God.
And it's commonly used after surgery.
Wow.
And so it's the only realistic option for me after surgery.
Yeah.
But then I figured out, if I take it, but I also bump up some of my over-the-counter stuff, then I can take it successfully. But I need to remember, A, that I need to take it, B, how much do I need to take?
Right. Yeah.
And so it's stuff like that it's become my repository of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because especially when I have not slept well, or I'm having other medical problems, like my neurostimulator wire migrated and I'm not sleeping as well right now, it's a handy reference for me to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, I really like that because, I don't know, I do this thing where I will have a concerning symptom, and then I get to a point where it's either like it's concerning enough, see a doctor, or it'll go away on its own.
Right.
And then I don't bother to track how long things have been going on. And so when you finally go to the doctor and they're like, how long has this been happening? I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I just now decided it was bad enough.
That's the kind of thing I put in my medical calendar. It doesn't make it into the primo real estate in my documentation. And so it's there if I need to go back to it. But if I don't go back to it, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, and I just I don't know. I'm so good at hitting the snooze button on things.
Yeah.
That I do it perpetually and to my disadvantage because I'm not keeping track of things. And also it's one of those if I've heard from a doctor and they're like, there's nothing we can do about that.
Oh yeah.
Sucks to suck.
You write it off.
And then you write it off and you're like, that's normal now. Yep. And then I don't track anything.
I was gonna say, I do the same. I there are a lot of things I'll forget that I was going through.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'll come back and it's I knew the if I could see the correlation between two things that happened, and then connect the dots, it'd be so much everything would be so much quicker.
Yeah. Well, and I just haven't done that.
I was gonna say in the weekly recap, I've been having Blevin. That's what I call it, Blevin.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like pseudo Evan.
Yeah.
I've been getting the face tinglies and stabbies and pressure. Oh God,
the pressure is hard too because it's You're like, my face is gonna explode.
But I've been tracking it.
Yeah.
Like
good.
like when it's happening, how long it's been going on.
Good.
You know. But
Yeah.
that's only because of like talking to you and Ruth.
Right. Because I had never like, beyond keeping a pain journal, which is always what they tell you to do. Like, I'm like, but it's all day, every day, and that's how it feels. So I don't bother.
Right.
But it's also one of those, and I wonder if you feel this way too, especially after the sepsis of having something that the family can refer
absolutely.
to.
Like when Ruth was saying that she needs like her family to be able to see.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. Like having something to refer to.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jen was at a loss in the beginning.
Right.
She had never seen me in a situation that I didn't have
some control in.
Right.
Yeah.
And it threw her off really bad.
Right. Well, and I've never, I don't know, we still have this like assurance of weird plot armor.
Right.
Where we forget that like, no, like lightning could strike at any moment.
Exactly.
And then our families would need to know. I've also been lazy about it because I have Kaiser.
Right.
And I assume like Kaiser has access to all of my medical records. So here we go.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I'm not as confident in Kaiser because of the people who have written me off.
Right.
And their notes in my medical record.
Yep.
And whatever those might look like, who knows?
Their willingness to go look into the records and find the historical stuff, because that can be an issue as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Especially because I'm not good with dates at all. Like at all. I'm really bad at time in general. So they're like, when did that happen? I'm like, I don't know. How long have you been seeing this doctor? I don't know. When was the last time you saw this doctor? I don't know.
Oh, like you didn't know you were seeing the same neurologist twice at the beginning. It took you a second to realize it was the same guy.
I realized that I did never see him. It wasn't the guy that I like who did my test.
You saw
he was
someone
the guy
else.
who looked at my test results.
Right.
And then put them in the books.
Gotcha.
So I had never like seen him before. Technically, I thought it was the tech.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, not good. But the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, I should have been doing this a long time ago.
Yeah.
But we don't know where to start, right? Like, which is why the documents you've created are so incredibly helpful, because it's hard to know like what information is pertinent, how much of the information should be in there.
Yeah.
Like which pieces are right. Like having a template is so incredibly
and
helpful.
to build on it, like as a starting point.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Like I've already gone through the like the pages and gone, I think on mine I would do this. Like I would want to track this and this too, because I'm being asked that more frequently.
Well, and it reminds me of like a pregnancy binder and like a go bag.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's same concept.
Mm-hmm.
But we forget that that's important in the day to day.
Yeah.
And so this is really
so cool. we should tell the story real quick about how Ruth ignored doing her proper duties and decided to slack off and make amazing documents for everybody.
I was on a roll. I decided, okay, I'll make a blank template. And then I was surprised at how short it was. And then I realized it's really the content you choose to put in it that makes it, kicks it up that level.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. Like we got that email like the same night, I think, right? You sent it. Yeah.
Yes.
Because we talked about it and we're like, we'll do an episode on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got that email. I was like, wow. Impressive.
Right.
So we can jump into it now if you guys are ready.
Yeah. Do you want to just double check what I said? Because I'm not entirely sure. Okay.
You're good.
Okay, good. I was like, I don't know if it's intentional, but I will ask.
Transition.
Yay! Look at how beautiful that transition was. He worked really, really hard on
for
this.
this moment.
For exactly
and
this
it's
moment.
over.
It's over.
And now I'm
It's
sad.
not over. We've got a lot to do.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look through the doc.
Yes, indeed.
So, Ruth, can you see what we are seeing?
Yes, I can. Slightly fuzzy, but I know what it is.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Perfect.
So sometimes people want to know who all your physicians are, or in some cases, I've been hitting this time period where I've had a whole bunch of physicians retire, and I've got new ones, and I can't remember which one's which.
Yes.
So I can look at this.
I've had that.
And
I
just list all. Here I'm trying to point at the paper. It doesn't make any sense. But there's the names of the physicians, and I put down what type of physician they are, and then I put down the associated diagnosis.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually have, for example, I've got multiple dentists, but they're treating different diagnoses.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And so sometimes you need that. And other times I've been asked to list my diagnoses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, especially diagnoses that are related to whatever the specialist
Right.
area of expertise is. And so that gives me that information. It also means that if my family member gets asked, who's the rheumatologist?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, they can go and figure it out
Yeah.
Right.
easily.
Yeah. I've lost so many doctors either to like their practice is shutting down
Mm-hmm.
or they're moving up
Yes.
because they're good at their job. So they become like the head of whatever department.
Right.
And they're no longer able
Like
to help
my
me.
favorite neurologist.
Yeah.
Who I liked.
Dr.
And then he went
Chastain.
to do other stuff.
The first man I saw at New Health.
Yeah.
He had to get promoted like a month after. Jerk.
Of course.
What a jerk.
Yeah. No, this is really cool. And I like having that like associated diagnosis to the
Mhm.
side. So you can be like, well, who diagnosed blank? And you can be like, this is who,
Right.
like for me, the geneticist. And that way we don't have people going, it's not real.
Right.
And you're like, but it is. You're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I also really appreciate that there's a supplements and over-the-counter stuff tab here because half the time I never know what to
Which is
include
which.
when they're like, list your medications.
Yeah, I never
and
put
then-
over the counter stuff down. And
No.
then it's come into play where they're like, oh, but you didn't say you were taking that. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't, it was over the counter. I
Right.
didn't know that you cared.
Right. Especially like things like fish oil.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know.
Actually had interactions between the over-the-counter and the prescription stuff
Yeah.
that caused problems. And that's why I started this section.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one thing you'll notice here too is I've got the current column. And so
Mhm.
what I do is I leave that column blank on the soft copy. And then
Oh.
I pencil it in because I'll erase it, then I'll put no and yes and
Yeah.
no. Just depends on what's going on in my life. And that makes it easier to maintain
Yeah.
on the hard copy. I don't have to constantly be running back.
Right.
But I try to list my supplements because I get asked things like, how much calcium are you taking a day?
Yeah.
Because of my current health conditions. And so that is a question I get asked an obnoxious number of times,
Right.
as well as how much vitamin D.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I get asked these questions. It depends on the diagnosis and which specialty.
Yeah.
And then I didn't, in these sample entries, I didn't show any entries that had the star, but you'll notice there's a footnote that says
Yeah.
important to continue.
Yeah.
And the reason that's there is because there's just so much. If I'm hospitalized, they will not agree to do everything,
Yes.
especially the over-the-counter stuff.
Yeah.
And I put stars by the ones that my husband needs to pitch a fit about and say, no, you really need to keep her on this, or
Okay.
you're
That
going
makes
to have
sense.
more problems.
Yeah.
That would have been so nice when we were dealing with Jen's grandma's health problems.
Mm.
Because there was something about one of the meds interacting with
Yeah.
something, and one doctor signed off on it and the other doctor said no,
Ooh.
and there was like a conflict,
Oh.
which led to like issues.
Right.
So,
delays and care. and
Having
all
an
of that.
important to
Yeah.
continue section, brilliant.
Interesting. Okay, and then so
And a lot of this layout is just because of what fit on the page.
right. No,
But
that
on
makes
the
sense.
but on the left-hand side, I've got the CPAP setting, and I have to put out what altitude
Yeah.
because it changes according to altitude, and the oxygen because if I'm hospitalized, they need to be able to get those correct settings and get me on that right away.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, that's not optional.
Right.
And then the this is what I would call the abbreviated immunization history.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I get questions about, like
Mhm.
always knowing the date of your last tetanus shot.
Right.
Really handy when you just cut yourself and ended up in the ER.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And they want to know, when was my last pneumonia shot? Because again, some of those are ones that they do every so many years.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I just did my first pneumonia.
Is
I had
pneumonia
walking
every
pneumonia.
10? Or is it like...
I don't know. I just did my first one ever.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, because I had I
Yeah.
was septic, I had pneumonia at the same
Uh-huh.
time and didn't know it.
Yeah.
So I was like, absolutely, let's
I
do
don't-
that one.
So I don't know if you scroll back up, but there's
Oh,
two
yeah.
different pneumonia shots.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
One is, and they have different renewal frequencies.
Oh,
Of
weird.
course.
And you can't just say you had a pneumonia shot. You have to know which one you had and
Okay.
when.
Okay. Huh.
See, this is why we do this.
Exactly. This is really cool. Okay.
And then, of course,
And so,
the current, yeah.
yeah, the current, and this is where you'll see that I've got the brand name, and then I've got the generic
Yes.
name in the parentheses, and then you'll notice that I include whether or not it's an extended release formula.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the formulas are
That
different.
first, well, no, in this case, that first one, I used to take it in a capsule.
Okay.
And it would go down into my gut, and the powder would be in my gut, and then I would belch. And the powder would come up into my nose, into my sinuses,
no.
and it hurt so bad.
Oh, God. I've had that happen, actually,
Yeah.
with other things, but it does hurt. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done it where you accidentally swallow into your sinuses,
Oh, yeah.
and then you have medication in your sinuses. It's not good. It hurts.
Remember when I ate that
We don't
tortilla
like it.
earlier?
Uh-huh.
The tortilla was to dislodge the
All the
meds
things
that
were...
I took before that weren't going down. Anyway.
So that's why I switched to the extended release, because now I don't have that problem.
Right.
Mhm.
I've started to do this now after talking to you and looking at this. I've been doing the brand name and the generic, because I always have, like, in my head, I use the like cyclobenzaprine over Flexeril.
Yeah.
I always say like the chemical,
Right.
because that's, to me, everyone would know it that way.
Well, and what we've always had access to is going to be the generic over.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm always doing that. But then doctors will be like, is that this? And I'm like, yes.
Oh yeah, where they're like, "Are you still taking the blank?" And you're like, "The what?"
Yeah. What does it do?
That? I'm like, "What's the other name for that, please?"
But yeah, after this, I've updated my med list.
That's
Because
really
of
cool.
you,
I like that.
Ruth.
You may not have encountered this yet, but I started taking Flexeril when it was brand name,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there was no generic.
Well,
So everybody at that point in time knew it by the brand name.
Uh-huh.
And then when it transitioned to generic, after a while, the younger ones know it by the generic name.
Yeah.
And so it depends on the age of the person you're talking to.
That's
That makes
really
sense,
interesting,
yeah.
and that I have seen that because I have, like, some people call it cyclobenzaprine.
Yeah.
Other
or
people are
Flexeril.
like, "Are you still taking the Flexeril?"
I noticed that PT calls it Flexeril more.
Really?
In my experience, PT has always called it Flexeril.
Huh.
And then cyclos are usually my NPs, nurse practitioners.
See, now I've always just called them cyclos.
Yeah.
Cyclobenzaprine.
But
Yeah. Okay.
and then also having the doctor who's prescribing it.
I like that too.
Brilliant.
That's a really
Yes.
good touch.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what's the
Because-
PRN medications?
So the reason the doctor's there is if I'm not well and someone else needs to call for a refill, they know who to call.
Okay.
And I have
Makes
actually
sense.
had medication switch which doctor's responsible for it for one reason or another.
Yeah. Same.
And so that's also to help me remember who's on it.
Okay.
And I used to mix the PRN in with the current medication,
Mhm.
but I'd get too many questions and people would get really excited. And so I separated PRN, and that's the abbreviation for per RN, per the registered nurse, which is which is
Okay.
commonly used as I take it occasionally, don't take it all the time.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anytime I've been dealing with like newer stuff, like it, because I'm dealing with younger doctors.
Yeah.
They always say it's as needed,
Yeah.
but PRN makes more sense to me now.
I've never heard that before. Like, I've always seen like as needed, or as needed, or as needed. Yeah.
So my mother was a nurse, and so she always used the medical definitions.
Yeah.
So, PO means you're taking it orally. BID means you're taking it twice a day. TID means you're taking it 3 times a day. And so I used to use those abbreviations in that dosage column.
Right.
But I've noticed now with some of the younger ones, they don't tend to use those abbreviations anymore. So I've switched that one. But I've left the PRN because in the medical field, PRN is still used quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right. Whoop. Don't go too far.
Can you double check that they can see that?
Yeah. Let me. Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're in our margins still. Perfect.
We are.
Sweet. Okay. So
This is
allergies.
Yeah. Mine is going to be full.
Yeah. Oops.
So I used to combine these 2 pages, these 2 tables. And I used to have allergies and side effects commingled.
Yeah.
And then I had a very condescending physician go, "Oh, what happened? Did your tummy get upset?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "No, I collapsed."
Oh my god.
And so now I separate the ones where you have a side effect that's annoying and it's not worth taking again,
Yeah.
versus the ones that is considered a true allergic reaction.
Yes.
Right.
I've had that exact same experience, Ruth. Like,
wow.
This just makes sense to me because of that. Like, I looked at this, I was like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that Jen will not let me take because she knows that I had a genuine reaction, like a severe reaction to it. And there are things that I can take if I have.
It sucks.
Right. Like, I could do dexamethasone.
Yeah.
Which is like prednisone, but,
Well, and that's exactly it. Is prednisone would be my I will take it if I have to, but it sucks and I hate it.
Yeah.
That's because I've had that come up before where they're like, it says in your allergy list prednisone, but could you? And I'm like, yeah, I could.
Well, and then having the effects there, brilliant, because I always forget some of the things,
exactly,
especially when I took my first extended release patch, and I had confusion and memory issues because of it. So I didn't remember everything that was going on. So when they asked me, I was like, or when I was septic and they were literally asking me and I couldn't answer them.
Yeah. No,
there you go.
Makes sense. That's so cool. I really like this.
I've had doctors really question whether it's a true allergy, even though I've listed it this way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the just being able to say very quickly, this is what happened, and then I get that shut down.
Right.
And the other thing is when I hand these pages to whichever poor assistant, I forgot what they call them, but anyway, not the nurse, but the
medical
person
assistant.
who just takes it. Yeah, medical assistant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much easier for them to do their data entry. It's typed. They can read it. It's not a phone where they're constantly having to refresh it.
Yep.
They can just go down the list, bam, 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 and they can enter the data.
That was actually going to be one of my questions about it was how is it received when you bring it with you?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are they?
They love that they love that you're organized.
Okay.
I have been complimented for being organized so many times.
Good.
Because they don't want surprise later on.
Yeah.
They don't want to prescribe you something and then find out that was a bad idea. And if you'd given them the information up front, they could have avoided the whole situation.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and I'm sure they're not used to people knowing as much as this document is informing, just in general.
They're not used to people having as many issues.
Yeah.
I mean, my list of allergies is really long, and I'll tell you the shock value of handing them the list of allergies. Totally worth it. Because it makes them take me more seriously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know it does.
Well, and the separation of no, that was a side effect. This is an allergy, and breaking that apart very empirically is going to be so helpful.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And then other mold allergy.
Yeah.
Just
just in case you needed to know.
Yeah, again, I probably slapped it where I had space.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But I've had the same level of problems with over-the-counter stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so I list that there. There are, let's say somebody had a peanut allergy or something like that. That's where you put it here because sometimes they need to know that.
Right.
because it can affect the medications they select.
So now
and that sort of thing.
You put like adhesives in True Allergy, right? I know.
Yeah,
I saw
up
it
here.
somewhere.
Well,
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. It was, oddly enough, it was really, really bad.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
It would turn. And then over time, I didn't use it very much, and it actually improved significantly.
Yeah.
But then I started KT taping, and it all came back.
Oh my gosh, my pharmacist, sorry, I have to say it before I forget.
Yeah.
Told me something really interesting. He said that for those of us who are adhesive sensitive, and I forgot, of course, for this, but you can spray the nasal allergy spray on the site.
So you like preempt it.
Yeah. So you put the what in the heck is it called? Flonase. You spray Flonase onto the site, let it dry completely, and then put it on.
So you're putting like a dermal layer on over it.
Kind of, yeah. So you're like putting
you're locally pre-treating the area.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I just thought was so interesting. I've never heard
like
anybody...
in a pinch? Hell yeah.
I'm like, dang it, why didn't I know that for surgery?
Right?
What the heck? Why does nobody know that? Do other people know that?
My back had a horrible reaction to the adhesives.
Well, I told you, like, this whole side was so bad after surgery that I literally left everything on the other side open to the air.
Yeah.
After that first bandage came off, because the allergy was so bad. Yeah.
Except you had like 3 little incisions, and I had
a big old.
Yeah, they just decided.
Slice.
Imagine that. This is just a fun little anecdote. You go in and you've done this surgery on all your other joints, right? It's 3 little incisions, and they go in and they clean it up. You go to your surgery, you wake up, and you're like, oh, this hurts more than you. That's weird. And then the doctor tells you while you're still under, because he can only talk to you like that half second as you're getting wheeled out. He's like, oh, by the way, I cut you open really bad. You're like, what? Was that a fever dream? You get home and then you look at your leg and you're like, oh my God, they filleted me.
Yeah.
And they did it so they could get a better view of what was going on.
Yeah.
But that was just a whole thing.
But yeah, like the adhesives are so bad for our skin that, I would absolutely qualify it as a true allergy.
Exactly.
Because literally it takes skin off.
Mm-hmm.
My skin falls off, and anything left behind basically dies. And then I'm left with scars from just the adhesive. Mm-hmm. And it's gross, and I hate it, and it hurts. So, no, I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So
now the next page is, keep in mind, these pages were all kind of developed over time, and they don't necessarily relate in this particular order. This is actually a wallet card I made for myself, and it is the Cliff Notes version of things.
Oh, that's
because
cool.
in an emergency, someone will look in your wallet. They're not looking in my planner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so cool. I put that information in there. Obviously, this predates cell phones by a long shot. Mm-hmm. But again, I put the most important diseases that someone would need to know in an emergency. The most important, and where it says listed on back, that's because if you take it out and you fold it in half, that's what a fold is.
Yeah.
And then I put the most important drug allergies of things they might need to know in an emergency, and then I've got C planner for details.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
I was wondering about that. Okay, yeah. Nice. That's crazy good.
Now we get into the novel.
Yes.
So I put down what the section is for, and then I have a list of, in my list, it's 56 things that I've expanded on in this table of contents.
Wow.
Yeah. And then for each item, I've got a section on prescription medicines. I list the medicine, and you can see it in the format there, the brand name and the generic name. And I say, what am I currently doing? And then what are the precautions and constraints on me taking it? Okay. And then I put the history
Yeah.
of like, why the heck am I on it?
Oh, wow.
What does it actually do? So that I'm on some medications that people aren't very familiar with. Only specialists would know about them.
Okay.
And so if the hospital's trying to decide which ones you're actually going to get,
Right.
it's nice if your family member knows, wait a minute, this is why they're on it, and I need to advocate for it hard.
Yeah.
Or like those starred medications that you put up front where you said these are important to continue. This gives them the information they need to make that call.
It's like the context.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I like that a lot.
And so I just go through a lot.
God, yeah. Well, it gets its own table of contents.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I like the
right,
table of contents because it's not like, because you hand somebody something like that without, they're going to be like, haha, I don't know where to find anything. And now we're done looking.
Well, yeah. Think about like how many prescriptions we're on and how many we're not on anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And I go through all the prescription meds. And if I were really organized, I would have been in alphabetical order with that. And then I go through all over the counter stuff.
Okay.
Why am I on it? And then I have a section, and this one could probably be organized better, but it's the self-care habit.
Okay. Like, is it below this or am I crazy?
It was all in there with it's all under the same area. I guess I didn't really write this in there into the.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't write the subsections in the template.
Right.
Okay.
But
no, that's fine.
But what I did is like for my self-care habit, I have reactive hypoglycemia pretty bad.
Yeah.
What do I do about it? I don't take a medicine for it.
Oh,
but what
okay.
I do is I eat a certain way to control my symptoms. And I do the same thing. What's my current thing I do? What are the precautions, constraints? What's the history?
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain habits, and at this point, they're so baked into my life, I don't think about them a lot.
Yeah.
But other people wouldn't necessarily know that.
Mm-hmm.
And things like I've got reactive airway disease. There's certain things. It's not really asthma.
Yeah.
Kind of like it. Not exactly. And, what's going on with that? Because, how would they know?
Right.
My dry mouth. I do certain things at night to help with my dry mouth to get me through the night.
Mm-hmm.
My allergies. I do sinus rinsing. Well, that's not a prescription thing. It doesn't really show up on here.
Right.
Okay.
No, that I think would be more helpful than anything because that's the thing is like we avoid medical care in a lot of areas because we've developed systems that work.
Exactly.
But then we forget that those systems are like things that we have developed for a reason.
Right. They don't come outside of the house.
Yeah.
So when you're like in an urgent care, you're not going to have your system.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yep.
That's brilliant.
And then I also go through my diseases in the same fashion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what's the history?
Here, scroll down.
What precautions do I follow today? No, it's really all in that same section.
Okay.
And I guess I should have put that in the template.
Oh no, that's
but
okay.
I go through each disease. What am I currently doing? What are the precautions and constraints because of it? What's my history? Like, when was I diagnosed? What kind of treatment have I had?
Wow.
I've had a condition that's been in remission for a very long time. But if it comes back, I'm going to need to remember all of that stuff. And it's not top of mind anymore because it hasn't happened recently.
Yeah.
I've had that happen. Like, I can't remember. There's a very specific thing that I can't remember because it's gone. It's not on the list anymore. But
that's me and Evan.
Right.
Where it's like, are we in remission right now? Does that mean it's gone? No. It's still there. We're just in remission currently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a good example. I have soft palate spasms that are temperature specific.
Oh.
And so I need my food to be either hot or cold. I can't have it be lukewarm.
Wow.
I wonder if that. Interesting.
Now you've got a thing to think about.
Yeah, I'm like, did I develop a system for a thing I didn't know was a thing?
Yeah.
Because I won't eat like, I won't eat cold food.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's interesting.
But and different people have different temperatures that they respond to. But the doctor told me, this is a thing. Try different temperatures. See if you can figure it out. And then if it spasms, then it gets into my sinuses and it hurts. And then I got to go do the sinus rinse. But again, I'm saying this is what you do if it happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Okay. That makes sense.
And then I had the vaccination history because, sometimes you get asked that.
Yep.
And especially today with people choosing not to vaccinate.
Right.
It's kind of important to keep track because when I was a kid, you just assumed everybody had certain things.
Yeah.
And you can't assume that anymore.
Well, even growing up where I did, like vaccinations were part of school.
Right.
Like I got all my vaccinations at a school gym.
Mm-hmm.
That's strange.
A lot of mine as a kid were like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We're actually trying to get that going for our school.
Nice.
See if Hazel Health will come on board and come do vaccinations.
Oh.
And the medication and durable medical equipment storage locations is because if I have to send somebody home and find everything, I have it all over the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone
for
can
one
relate to
reason
that.
or another.
Yeah.
And I need a list. And I'm like, okay, this is where I keep the bottle that I'm using now. This is where the rest of it is. And I just go through all this kind of stuff.
Oh, that's
As a funny aside, this is like a game I play with my daughter that I don't play with my daughter, that Jen plays with my daughter. It's called I Got to the Car and I Need My Medication. Rin, go find this very specifically long, hard and to remember thing on an orange bottle in our bedroom that is full of orange bottles.
Good luck.
It's like, can you find the dexamethasone?
Where's Waldo? Medication version.
I actually have the edges of the shelves labeled.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Because I made a whole bunch of labels that say RX, and I just put them on the shelf.
Nice.
I drove my husband crazy that one time I got hospitalized unexpectedly, running home and getting one thing and another, and the poor guy just is not good at finding things.
Neither is
anyway.
And vision.
And so I at one point I tried to keep it in a place where it's labeled that this thing has medicine in it.
Yeah.
And just make it easier. Does it work real well? I don't know.
Yeah. Like you have your bin.
Yeah, I have a bin, and then there's the nook next to me where I keep the stuff that I need if I wake up in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
And then Jen has her nook, and so there's stages. There's headache nook, there's tummy nook, like different spots.
I'm on my period nook. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't take a lot of things for her period. Like her head's usually more important.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, with the migraines, yeah.
Exactly. Like.
Well, and I have like it's not our nightstand, our headboard. We have all these shelves on it, and so there's like a double shelf, and so all of my medications go there, and then when I do my refill, like when I fill my pills for the week, I just move them all down to make sure that I've done it right. And so that's my system, and all of my stuff lives right there. So nice and easy for the most part.
Yeah. That is good. I love this as an aside.
These are all the things that we imagine ourselves to be immortal, and we forget that this could be so important for somebody to be able to work on your behalf.
Absolutely.
So the page on the left here, I've listed all the emergency contact information, and that page I have on a bulletin board at work right behind my unclassified phone.
Okay.
Good.
Because one time I got hauled out of work on a backboard and was having to yell my husband's phone number to somebody so that they could call him and tell him what was going on.
Yeah.
And now I have that information there. And I just tell whoever my current cube mate is, something happened, here are all the numbers you need.
Yeah.
I like that.
Wow. Smart.
And then
surgical history.
history.
That thing that I don't know
Surgical.
at all. I'm like, I've had surgeries. When did I have them? I don't know.
Yeah, this is about as far as I could go to. Is like year I could do.
Yeah.
Maybe a month.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not.
Well, and I had this
months for the ones that happened during COVID.
Yeah.
And I know the year because they happened during COVID.
Right.
But that's all I've got.
Well, in this case, I ended up with this asinine conversation with this doctor who did not believe that I'd already had an appendectomy.
Oh, God.
And so that was not fun.
I was going to ask about it because there's double appendectomy on here.
I know,
I was like, you can get it twice.
Because I did. Because when it's inflamed, it's really hard to make sure you get 100% of it.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what happened.
Okay.
But I could say it was this year, this surgery, this location, this doctor.
Yeah.
And that gave them more, it just helped boost my credibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No,
that I
awesome.
was, in fact, reporting it accurately. And they were laughing and saying, you get to be one of the few people that's had 2 appendectomies.
Yeah. That's so cool. So weird, but so cool.
Yeah, the weird bragging rights when it comes to surgical stuff.
I've had 2 appendectomies. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay.
Now, the historical stuff is I didn't want to mix in the drugs I have taken before with the drugs I'm taking now.
Okay.
Yes.
Because in some cases, it might be a question of, have you tried this before? Or another case, it might be, well, maybe we could try you on this. I said, well, I've been on it before. And so I don't want to lose the information I had on it.
Right.
So I put it here.
Which is way important for you to be able to say, I've tried all of these medications.
I need to do this.
I need to have this specific one because out of all of the ones we've tried, this is the one that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that reverberates in my soul.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Ton of extra stuff just because I have an implanted medical device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got all of the testing and surgical testing and surgical precautions for it. You know, you can't just throw me in an MRI.
Yeah.
You can't just use electrocautery willy-nilly if I'm in surgery, that kind of thing.
Do you have that listed on your card that you have the implant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
It's on everything.
Okay.
Good.
It's even on my my medical alert.
Good.
All right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well, there you go. There's that document. And then in the next bit, we'll get into the notebook.
Bring this down. There we go.
But I think we're at time, so we should probably take a break.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back to it and do the notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I'm excited to get in and start building mine.
Right. And it's cool. The cool thing about it is that you can dive into it heavy one time.
Yeah.
Like if you just do
then it's just
diligence,
maintenance.
Yeah, then you can just maintain.
Right. It's like there's an aspect of intimidation because I'm like, oh, I'm missing a bunch of information. But there's also the forethought of but I don't have to be forever.
Right.
Like
well,
if
and you
I
also
start
have
it now,
online medical
we
records
can
that
catch
you could get
back
stuff.
up. Exactly. Yeah. And the catching back up is going to be tedious for a minute, but then I'll have something that I just have to update as time goes on.
Exactly.
Which is just huge and crazy and really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to show us. And that I'm just blown away.
But yeah, it's time to take the break.
Time to take the break. What do you have to do? What do they need to do, Ruth?
Supposed to drink some water.
Yep.
Take your meds.
Do that.
Touch some grass.
Touch some grass. Especially if the weather's nice. It is the season of seasonal affective So if you are a sad kind of kid like we are, you need to go outside and look at the sun. Don't look at the sun, but look at sunlight with your eyeballs and not sunglasses. I learned that for at least 15 minutes you need to have light touch your face.
Okay. I thought you were saying don't look at the sun for 15 minutes. Then you can. Like after the 15 minutes, then you're
go
good to go.
outside and close your eyes, and then you can look directly at the sun. Don't. We're not morticians.
We're not. We can't help you if something happens.
Pay attention.
All right.
Don't look at the sun.
Oh, and also, if you're one of my bipolar buddies, if you're a bipolar bear, check in with yourself.
Do that, yeah.
How are you doing? I'm manic as all get out. I am on a manic high, and I can't sleep, and I don't hate it, but I hate it.
I'm on a medication, and I feel weird, but I don't have bipolar, so I'll see myself out.
Like, yeah, excuse you?
Also have a snack, because you are a snack. Take a break if you can, and we will see you in a minute.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hi. Do you like Fantastic Pains? Would you like to see more of the Fantastic Pains podcasting crew? If so, you should join our Patreon. The Patreon, as we like to call it, is the new home of our behind-the-scenes content, full uncut recording sessions, our short-form videos such as TikToks and YouTube Shorts, and our past live streams. You can also find some Patreon-exclusive content such as our new music reviews, lost episodes, and is the new home of our Mini Voices series, all of which can be found in our higher tier, dubbed The Only Pains. The Patreon is the best way to support the podcast, so whether you want to see more of us or just want to help us grow, feel free to sign up following the link in the description below, and hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
Welcome back.
Did you do the things? Hopefully some of the things.
Yes.
We did the things.
We did,
It's
actually.
not as nice outside as it was initially, which is kind of a bummer. There was sunlight this morning, and now there's not. But we did some of the things, and we are back and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to look at the sacred notebook next, right?
The revered notebook.
Well, we got references to it. We get to see it now. So.
Yeah.
Years ago, Franklin Covey had a health notebook product. They don't appear to have a similar product anymore, but I have seen that there are similar products available on Etsy. But if you look at it, let's see, gotta get it framed right. It is specifically a health notebook. And what my husband really likes is that it doesn't look like any other notebook in the house.
Nice.
So it's very unique and it's easy to find. And it has a bunch of different dividers on different topics. And I thought I'd talk through what is in each section that we put in. Yeah. And then obviously it's free format. You can put in whatever would be of use. But this is our go-to book when one of us goes to the ER, when one of us goes to the hospital. It contains critical information that you might not be able to remember in the moment, or your family member needs to be able to have at the fingertips to talk with the healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
And it has materials to help you during the stay while you're there. So it starts out and there's a page that has kind of basic information, emergency phone numbers, and that includes insurance.
Nice.
Emergency phone numbers. Like if you
That's
went
smart.
to an out of network or you
Really
got,
smart.
if you were admitted and you need to report it as soon as possible,
Yeah.
or you're going to an out of network provider, and so you need to have that available. It includes things like my preferred pharmacy and relatives that I would want, contact information for relatives that should be notified right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I actually have long-term care insurance, so it has contact information for that because you never know when you're going to start needing it.
Yep.
I have photocopies of my insurance card, my prescription insurance card. In my case, because I have an implanted medical device, my implanted medical device card. So it's all the information's there. They don't have to find it in my wallet. If I was in a car accident, maybe I would no longer be with my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a section with the plastic business card holders, and I've got business cards for each of my physicians, healthcare providers, durable medical equipment providers. All of that contact information is there.
Yeah,
Nice.
I love
Okay.
that section because I do that with my wallet. My wallet
Yeah.
is every card to every doctor I've seen. I always take
I'm
a card.
so bad about that. I don't even know half of the doctors' names that I see.
We gotta fix
I'm
that.
like, I don't know. It's in the system somewhere. Y'all figure it out. Whoops.
And some of these pages are straight out of the document that we discussed earlier. And then some of these pages are specific that I made for this notebook. For example, I have contact information for the church that we attend.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone wants to call for prayer, needs to call and arrange a funeral, it's there. I have reference contact information for relatives that are in the local metro area in case you need help. For example, one time, my car ended up being left at the hospital.
Oh, no.
because I drove myself to the ER. I had to ride with someone else who arrived with a car, go back home, and then we needed to get the other car back from the hospital.
Right.
Yep.
And my husband called one of my cousins, and she came over and helped, get the car back from the hospital. Just
Good.
things like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, we have my husband's family's phone list, so that if he needs to talk to someone in his family, because he's notorious for not having all of the contact information that he should with him. I have kind of a summary page of important information, list all the health conditions. It's just a high level summary of what's already in all the detailed pages of the document we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're in the hospital, you're under stress. Sometimes you just need it all in one place.
Yes.
You can do whatever. I've got a little bit of family history, medical history.
That's smart.
So, for example, the different health conditions that I'm aware of that my parents had, my grandparents had. Again, I get asked that on various doctor intake paperwork.
Yep.
Especially when it comes to gastroenterology, anybody have colon cancer, that kind of thing. So you can answer those questions. And more pages from the earlier documents. I have a specific asthma action plan that was given to me by my pulmonologist. And I have a copy in there because, again, if I were hospitalized, they might need to know what the original plan was.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly won't remember it, so it might as well be there.
Right.
I have a page, and I think this was out of must have been a pharmacy records, but they have the list of all the prescriptions they've administered.
Okay.
Or I mean all the immunizations that they've administered. And I thought, well, it's neat, it's easy to read. I'll go ahead and throw it in.
Yeah.
I have a copy of my international travel immunization card because I had some things that you wouldn't normally list.
Right.
My hepatitis A, my typhoid, that kind of thing.
Right.
Surgical history. I have a section for my husband.
That's what I was
I'm
about
not
to
well
ask.
versed.
I'm
not well versed.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I have the very important note of, in case of life-threatening emergency, which hospital to take him to.
Okay.
Because he has Kaiser and they handle a certain level, but then if it goes to higher level, apparently I take him to a different hospital.
Yeah.
I note that I have to check the current ones. Now they have a section here for bills and receipts. If you were an extended hospital stay, that would be very helpful to organize those.
Yeah.
There's a section for appointments. Again, if you were an extended, complicated hospital stay with a lot of follow-up It would give you a place to write all those down. I have a section of I have articles on how to be your own billing advocate.
Oh,
That's
Again,
amazing.
something you might need when you're in the hospital.
Mhm.
Yes.
Blank pages to take notes. Blank pages to keep track of symptoms, so that if you were wanting to keep track of your symptoms throughout the day in between doctors doing the rounds, you have a place to put that. I have a couple of different kinds of tables where I describe what the medication schedule is, which medications I take at which points of the day, so that when they're trying to figure out which ones they're going to keep administering in the hospital, they can see when they should be administered.
Yeah.
And then I have a graph I made that shows when I take medicines, how long I wait to eat, how long after I eat do I take the next medicine, how long after that do I take the next medicine, because I have some very specific food-related timing that I have to follow.
Yeah.
And I have restrictions, like I can't have any soy or calcium for 4 hours after I take my thyroid medication.
Oh, okay.
And, it's weird stuff that doesn't fit in anywhere else.
Right.
Now, do you keep track of the procedures and the medications given at the hospital?
I haven't in times past, but I should have.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I realized later that I was not getting all the medications every day.
Yeah,
and I was trying to
And then
sort
they
things
still
out
bill you for
afterwards.
it. It's fun. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they still billed me for it, but I definitely knew I wasn't getting everything. And in some cases, like if I've got an anti-ulcer drug and I'm eating weird because I'm in the hospital, I kind of want to keep track of that.
Right.
There's a section for test results. So if you're getting test results while you're in the hospital, it's a place to put it.
I wish I had that when I was septic.
Yeah.
I would.
Well, because then you'd be able to review it after you come back,
right,
too.
having something to track for me coming back out of it.
Right.
And there's a section for doctor's letters. I would think that would be mostly on discharge, but doctor's letters that give you permission to do, I don't know, take something on the airplane or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a section on resources, and one of my company's benefits is a third party that they contract with that helps with advocacy.
Oh, I love that.
And they help with understanding benefits, filing appeals, resolving billing errors, transferring your medical records, obtaining pre-authorization, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, just again, a resource where it could be a hassle while you're in the hospital, offload some of that work to somebody else.
Yeah.
Now, there's a health and fitness nutrition tracker, and it has a bunch of columns on meal journal, what are you eating for each meal, different days of the week, how much water are you drinking, fruits, vegetables, are you having your supplements? And again, depending on what you were in the hospital for, that could be really handy. If it's something where you're having to closely track that. They even have menu planner pages. I don't know if I go that far. And because I have an implanted medical device, I've got a whole section just for that.
Yeah.
And I've got pages, it's selected manual pages from the manuals. There's a section that I flagged that says, if I need an MRI, if I need surgery and I need electric cautery, here are the rules. There's a section on legal documents. So we have powers of attorney in there, powers of attorney for healthcare, so that it's clear that I have designated my husband as being the person who is authorized to make decisions for me in the event that I am not able to. We have prearranged burial. So I've got, in the event of death, please notify. and you call this number. I've got an account number. We've got both of our information in there. There are, at one point, we wrote letters about this is how we feel about death. This is how we feel about life-saving treatments and to what extent
Right.
someone should go to. And we've got letters to our family in there to say, you know, this person is making decisions based on my wishes, and it's fine. And just to have that information.
Yeah, having the clarity.
Right.
And I forgot about this one. I've got information about my long-term care insurance contract and the customer service number, and my information on how to tell somebody else how to get in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And organ donation information.
That's really clever.
That kind of thing. And what else? I've got an article on what to do when a loved one dies. You know, what things are urgent.
Yeah.
That you really need to get covered.
Mm-hmm.
Got blank paper. And got a pocket that seals where I've got writing instruments and post-it notes.
Mm-hmm.
Got other folders that are in here where you can shove blank, you know, loose leaf papers.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to have a hole punch in the hospital.
Uh-huh.
But just a bunch of different handy information.
Oh yeah.
Have all together.
No, that's amazing.
It's the what if binder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I was just thinking about how, like, for us, that it doesn't seem or feel heavy, but imagining what other people must think and feel about having to do all of those things.
Yeah, the hardest part for me about being septic was watching Jen struggle.
Yeah.
Trying to keep everything afloat while
Right.
emotionally dealing with me not being there, and
Right.
like
Right. And that's the part that I think sometimes people don't consider is
Yeah.
the emotional stress you're under
Mm-hmm.
when it's happening in the moment.
Yeah.
And you need to have things really spelled out. It's not that you don't know it.
right.
It's remembering it in the moment.
Yes. Well, and like trying to sort that out while you're not doing great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm wondering, like, how many people avoid doing something like this because it's heavy
Oh,
and because it's a reminder of your mortality. Because, like you said, it's the what if binder.
Mm-hmm.
But people are, it's that same sense of like, well, that can't happen to me. That
Right.
won't happen to me. That wouldn't happen to me. And then when you sit down to deal with the what ifs, there's a heavy emotional load to that at times, where you have to really face your own mortality and what that might look like for the people around you.
Exactly.
And it brings it into reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that being a hurdle for some people.
And I know this is a daunting amount of information to amass, but I did it slowly over the years.
Right.
And one of the payoffs that I suspect, I can't prove it, is that I believe healthcare professionals take my concerns more seriously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can easily show them something they can skim and they can go, oh, this person has a lot of information here for me. The list of allergies is long. The list of medicines is long. The list of diagnoses and doctors is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should take this person slightly more serious.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've experienced that in just knowing my surgery dates.
Yeah.
Like the last time I went into pain management and she asked me about surgeries, and I was able to tell them like what month it was and about.
Yeah.
You know, she was like, "You know so much more than most people. This is so nice." And I was like, "I'm just kind of winging it."
See, I don't know.
And then she took me more seriously.
Yeah. I don't know when I had my shoulder surgery. I think it was 2018 though. It might have been 2019. I know that my hips were done 9 months apart.
Mm.
So I know one was May 2020, and then the next one was like March-ish, maybe earlier than that. The next year.
Yeah.
So like, but I can see how knowing it and being able to like hand somebody something that's like, this is everything, not just like the records that one doctor holds.
Mm-hmm.
versus what another doctor holds versus. Like, you've compiled it all. And like you said, like, it doesn't have to be compile everything right now.
Right.
And that's like, for me, I'm like, I want to start because I want to start, not because I want to like have that amount of information right now. But there are things that I absolutely can fill in that would help in case of an emergency and would be really beneficial, and beneficial for me to keep track of and to be able to hand to healthcare professionals.
Oh, yeah.
And say, like, look, this is my amassed knowledge of my own conditions.
Yeah.
This is where you're going to find whatever questions you need answered.
It's like, it makes you seem like a professional patient, but in the positive light.
Yeah.
Like, this person's on top of their conditions.
Yeah.
They know that they have more than one.
Yeah.
And that they're managing it.
It's such a pain that, like, professional patient is used the way it is.
I hate it. Same with doctor shopping.
It's gross. I don't like it.
Those aren't negative terms.
Right. Well, and to be told that by a doctor, to be like, well, if you try to get every condition you have treated, you'll be a professional patient. And that's just bad. And you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why, though? But I think it'd be really interesting, especially for, like, I would want to compile a section of, like, doctors I've left and why.
And why?
Yeah.
Yeah. For pain management, absolutely. I would want that. Because then it's clear, you know.
Right. Like, this is the interaction with this doctor that did not go well. This is the reason that I needed to find a new doctor.
Especially for team building.
Yeah.
Being able to say that, to show them that you have certain people already in place.
Yeah.
And that you've tried filling slots, but it just wasn't working.
It wasn't working with that one doctor. So.
Then I think they'd take you more serious and be like,
yeah, exactly.
You're doctor shopping, but not like, oh, you're doctor shopping.
Right. Be like, no, I'm looking for a team. I'm trying to build a comprehensive team.
Yeah.
Where they're going to work together and they're going to work with me, because unless you are a member of your own team, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
And I never thought of specifically keeping a list of doctors and why I'm no longer seeing them. I do generally remember that, but I have had that question recently, and I was able to say, so-and-so retired. So-and-so got mad at his employer and quit because he didn't like how they were handling COVID, and he went to someplace that I can't, it's out of network, I can't go to.
Yep.
Right.
But to be able to list all that off, so-and-so had an injury and could no longer operate and was forced to retire.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I could go through and had a good reason for each one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that frustrating, though, that you, like, have to have a good reason?
Oh, God.
Like, they're like... And you don't necessarily know what is a good reason in their mind.
My favorite ones are when they stood up for their patients and management hated it.
Yeah.
Like what happened to Marianne.
That's so sad. It's like they put patients' lives over money.
I had a doctor who recently, the hospital decided to close his satellite office. I don't think they gave anybody notice. They just shut it down, and I don't know what happened to him.
Oh,
that's what happened in New Health. They just didn't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
The clinic was just closed. And I mean, even the partner.
Yeah. So totally off topic here, but kind of on, like, for that at least. In the United States especially, medicine is an investment. And then the investors get to pull the plug.
Right.
Because when medicine's an investment, then it's for profit.
Right.
And that's what happens. And that's why we get left without care with no notice, because suddenly it wasn't profitable anymore. Mm-hmm. Which is just gross. And that's how you get, like, the places that are like, let's just dole out drugs as fast as possible, constantly, as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But also you want, like, something that might actually help you long term. Nope. That's expensive. We want you to buy more drugs.
Yeah, I'm still bummed about New Health.
You.
I'm bummed about all my doctors that I've, like, shut down or had to move or got fired
for doing the right thing. Yeah, no, it's terrible. But no, I think that's amazing. I'm actually gonna look for one because I wrote it down. I'm like, I need
a
to
health notebook,
see if I can find.
Yeah, I was thinking one
like
that wouldn't like if it has to be a binder that doesn't look like anything else in the house.
Yeah.
You know, my family, we have tons of binders, and the kids have an aesthetic, right? And I was like, what would be something that nobody else had? And the first thing my brain was like, Lisa Frank.
Oh my God. Get a Lisa Frank binder.
Bright holographic butterflies, pink everywhere, colors just
There's
salting your eyes.
unicorns and puppy dogs.
And then I was like, but then if you go to the
kitties.
doctor and you bust out your Lisa Frank binder and you say,
are they going to take you seriously anymore?
Probably not so much.
They're like, why did you bring your child's
Yeah,
notebook?
I'm not
This
taking
is
your homework.
daughter's homework. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Oh.
Dan, I don't
One
like.
thing that might
I was just gonna say I don't like the ones that I'm seeing right now because they're like spiral bound,
Yeah.
and I want something that like you can add to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it needs to be able to grow with you.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I thought might be interesting is if you give progress updates on as you put this information
Yeah.
together.
No, I like that a lot.
Where did you choose to start? Why did you choose to start there? What benefits have you seen?
Yeah, no, I like that a lot.
We could do like little
An
health
update.
like a little health binder blog.
Yeah,
Because we could do that
it
as
could be
like
short
shorts.
form content. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like that a lot.
What we need to do then is dedicate a day to it
Yeah,
so that we have like
compile it as we go through.
Right.
the
So
day.
like if Wednesdays are check-in day,
right.
we can both do one and then upload them on Wednesday and then be like, this is where we're at right now.
That's a good idea. So yours is called Health Notebook, or is it?
It's a healthcare organizer.
Okay.
Oh, the binder part actually was not as long as I thought it might
Yeah.
be, but I think that gives you a pretty good overview of the kinds of information I put together, why I put it together, and how
Yeah.
I use it.
No, I think that's amazing, and really, really helpful. I think that's awesome, and it gives us an idea of like what we're building toward.
Yeah.
Because again, I think if you approach it from a like this is what you should have, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be intimidating. But like building toward having something that comprehensive, I think is very reasonable and manageable, and really beneficial. So, if you guys want, give it a try with us.
Yeah, I was gonna say
This will be really cool.
if you're inclined and you start one, would you be
Yeah.
interested in like sending us like a short or recording yourself saying something about it? Just
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of accountability buddy, maybe just as a fun project to see how we're all doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be amazing. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, hold ourselves accountable and really get into using it and using it like
Because it's one of those
consistently.
things that's going to be so handy.
Yes.
Once you have even just the like
Yeah.
first thing you put in there,
Mhm.
you're going to use it.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, well, here's my health binder,
It's
sir.
empty. It just has your name over
Shut
and
up.
over again.
Shut up. It's not done.
You had the poops? What does that mean?
There's no date here.
What are you doing? What?
It's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, look at my notes. But yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And Ruth, we really, really appreciate you being on and doing this.
Oh my
This was
God, yes.
such a good idea. And I learned
certainly.
a ton. I
Oh,
learned
yeah.
a ton.
Oh, and I think people will get a lot out of this.
Yeah, I hope so. So,
And we'll have the document in the description
yes.
and in our Discord
Yeah.
and on our website.
And on
so
the website.
we'll have it all the places that we could possibly think to put it.
Right.
So if you wanted to check it out, fill it out, and then let us know.
Yeah.
Like
Build
if
your own.
if it's coming together.
Yeah. That'll be awesome. Well, I hope you guys got something good out of this. I think you must have, because this has been
I did.
just so informative and really, really helpful to see how that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like all of it. Really cool. I'm overwhelmed. It's awesome. I'm excited to start it. But if you found this valuable, please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you are so inclined. We appreciate every comment we get. We
Mhm.
share them back and forth. We love to hear from you guys. Join the Discord also. Discord is going to be a really good resource
Yeah.
of information. And then you get to meet really cool people like Ruth over here.
Yeah.
Who is a wealth of knowledge and wisdom.
We're lucky to have you, Ruth.
Indeed.
I mean that.
Was as painful for me to acquire the knowledge, I owe it to other people to share it so it's not as painful for them.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
all you're experiencing it now has a tangible, helpful result.
Yeah.
Yes, that I find that gratifying.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And to like help us cut some corners so that we don't have to go through things the long way
Yes.
is going to be so valuable. So 100% and 100 thank yous. And yeah,
Very welcome.
I think we're going to end it there.
Yep.
So thank you all so much. We really appreciate your time today. We really appreciate Ruth, friend of podcast. And on that note, my friends, be kind to you, be kind to others, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.